I want to talk. I want you to talk about how, because a huge part of your work at this point in your life is very much about what you were saying about like processing emotions through creativity.
Mm. Mm.
And how did you discover that, and what do you mean? Like, what does that even entail for you?
I okay. I'll just say that so I've always wanted to create art to like express how I truly feel that raw emotions. But when you're just beginning, you just don't know how to do that. And so what I started doing was at the very beginning of my art school journey, and I didn't realize this until like I think recently I started to practice back again, probably like last year. And I looked back at my things and I realized there's one small book of just me and like it's called oil pastels. Like me just coloring like every day probably or like whenever I feel like it. Just coloring each page with nothing in mind, just letting that's basically letting whatever that's inside to flow. Because I don't your mind doesn't know. It doesn't
Yeah.
know. And I didn't know at that time I didn't know anything about like trauma, da da da, whatever, but whatever that's inside that it's like locked away, it's not it's not locked away somewhere that you can't access. Like when you do those things, you're giving it an opportunity to flow out.
Mm,
It's like the beginning of it coming out, and that's when I started like flowing. I would say I have this practice. I have this book. I can, or I have a reel, but if which one is you can watch it on my Instagram. But it was just it's not about how it looks at all. It's not anything. It's just about that practice. When I was doing it, I just felt so free, so relaxed, so good. Or sometimes I feel angry, sometimes I feel so upset. And you just don't know how to process. At that time, I didn't know anything. Like, you don't know how to process, you don't know what to do. You're just like, you don't know how to solve anything
mm-hmm.
because the reality is like the thing that you need to solve is like so huge. It's like a huge thing. So, like, slowly, this is like a part of it. It's like slow steps so that once you get to that main point of like the whatever trauma that you want to like clear up, at that point it's just you just have to take a piece of puzzle and just so
Yeah.
much work has been cleared, but you didn't even realize. You think that you were doing nothing. No, your
Yeah.
body was clearing through so much. That's how like I started like just releasing whatever, and that practice. I was like, this is art. This is what I mean
Yeah.
when I say people when I see people who create and you can feel it, you feel it. When you see that Instagram post and you know that their heart is in it, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I'm like, this is what artists like oh fuck whatever they say. Whatever that it's not relevant. Like
Yeah.
yes, to make money, this may not do it, but what is art to me?
Yeah.
It
And the thing
wasn't
is,
about
like, it is even that, like, that's, you're preparing your, that's the thing. Like, I feel like people are so, we're all waking up to the fact that these systems, like, they're just so, they're empty. Like, they feel empty.
it's
it's
not even
like,
about the money. It's about
yeah,
fitting into that
yeah,
clog of economic clog because true art is you gotta be rich as fuck, just not
yeah,
instantly.
yeah, yeah,
This is all building, the instant gratification thing. This is all
yeah.
like building blocks and it's so necessary and people will like love it's just
Yeah.
part of it. Yeah. You
That's
gotta be
that's a
rich as
huge
fuck.
piece.
Yeah.
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 Because that's what I noticed with traditional sales and marketing and everything too. It's like they're just trying to see like what's the easiest way, like what can I do to just convince and manipulate someone to think
Yeah.
that my stuff is good. instead
Yeah.
of being like, what can I do to actually make my stuff really good? What can I do to
Yeah.
improve my skills? And like that takes time, but it's like once you actually do that, people, like Divya said, like they feel it. They feel
Yeah.
it and they want
Yeah.
you magnetize people. And it
Yeah.
has, you don't have to do like crazy like marketing things and like clickbait stuff or whatever. Like
Yeah.
people refer you to one another. Like it's word of mouth starts
Yeah.
flowing. Like
Yeah.
uh yeah. And it's like when you were saying that when you just process your, or when you for example are just expressing yourself with the like oil pastels in just your little notebook that you know you're not going to share with anyone. The image I got from that was very much like as you're doing it, it's almost like pulling through that thread like of that tangled mess that like of
Yeah.
trauma and all of
Oh,
these different things that
yeah.
live in our body. And when
Yeah.
we express ourselves, those threads begin to start like coming out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you start noticing like what you said, like sometimes you have no idea what's in you, and then
Yeah.
something you'll like do some sort of creative self-expression kind of work and realize like, oh shoot, like this is a huge thing,
Yeah.
and this didn't even start with me. Like this specific flavor of trauma, it's like, oh, I can see how I'm affected by it. I can see how my mom's affected by it, how my
Yeah.
like I can see it, what you were again like talking about lineage and where you come from. That
Yeah.
is like, if you are someone that wants like felt really connected to when Thivya said that, like know where you come from, and that's how you really begin to stop comparing yourself to others, which I
Yeah.
think is just brilliant because that's so fucking true. Like
Yeah.
we we literally all come from, we're all at such different starting points that there's no, and different areas too, right? Like it's not like it's just like one layer of
Yeah.
starting points. It's like what you said, it's like you also, it's like you were very more much more developed in the spiritual and emotional and all of
Yeah.
those realms growing up, and then your peers from art school were like really skilled at the material like manifestation part of it, and then now it's flipped and they're like at the like
Yeah.
behind you and that. But anyway, so it's not really just
Yeah.
one layer or anything, but
Yeah.
that that's and I think that's like traditional therapy as well. Like when you try to process your things, like that's also just you self-expressing, right? It's just
Yeah.
someone sitting in front of you and you're like having a chance to just speak.
Mm.
But that self-expression piece, like allowing yourself to see what's going on inside you, that your mind, like Thivya said, your mind doesn't know what the heck's going on. You'll
Just
sometimes
feel it.
feel a feeling and then you have to give that feeling attention and kind of
Mm.
sit with it, and if you want to like process it through art, etc., and then it's going to reveal what's
Yeah.
underlying it, and it's a whole process, and you can get better and
Okay.
better at it over time.
It's just so liberating to like not. Oh, okay. I think the thing that's so beautiful about this practice is I don't hold myself back at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're not filtering through anything. You're not policing yourself. Like you're just, it feels like you can just do whatever the fuck you want. And that's what we want for like our daily life.
Yeah.
But